Hi guys, in this video I'm going to start working with you on stories, but before we start with the stories, first we're going to build a couple of additional views so that we can create the story. The first view we're going to call it profit ratio KPI by state. Profit ratio KPI by state, yeah. In this we're going to use the profit ratio in the details of the and we're going to use the states to create the United States map. So I'm going to go to the states here, and then I'm going to have the profit ratio over here, and now we have the profit ratio map similar to what's in here, but this is the profit ratio KPI. I'm sorry, this is not the profit ratio only, so please be careful, not the profit ratio only, but that KPI profit ratio. Always make this mistake. So now I have it, but I have different coloration, so if you want to change the colors, okay, you could do that. So for acceptable, let's have it in this cyan color, and then for this, let's have it in orange, and then here we go. Almost similar to what I have in the slides. All right, so this would be acceptable and poor. If you want to add the profit ratio, in fact, why not? But add it as a label here, if you want. So that would be the profit ratio, if you want to add it as a label. Up to you. You can also add it, the profit ratio here, you can add it onto the tooltip instead. So in the tooltip, you will see the profit ratio. And then you can, with the profit ratio here, you can format it into percentages. It's better. And that's it. So now you can see 26%, 16%, and so on with the tooltip. All right, so now that we created this, the next step will be to create an additional view called the profit ratio by quarter. Profit ratio by quarter. So we will have to use the quarter, which is the order date. Order date is right there. So we're going to take the order date and maybe here and have it as continuous quarter because we want to see the trend, right? And then we are going to use the region, is that correct? Or the profit ratio and the date. Oh, okay. Profit ratio is right there. So here is the profit ratio and there's the date. So we would like to see it in bars so that we can see the negative and the positive. This is the KPI or the profit ratio. Let's say a profit ratio by quarter. This will be the bars. This is profit ratio KPI target. So I'm sorry, it's not the profit ratio. Again, you know why I question? Because over here we use the KPI profit ratio. So that is going to be profit ratio KPI target. No, this is the reference line. I'm sorry. Under the date, continuous date, and then create an additional view, name this, and use the order date as a continuous date. No, I did it correctly, and the profit ratio is on the rows. I think I did it correctly. That's good. I did it correctly, but when we want to add the reference line, then we will add the reference line of the KPI. So that's all right. So we're doing it correctly with the profit ratio over time. And honestly, we would like to probably add here the South region to just focus on the South region. In fact, to tell you the truth, guys, our data is different than the data of the slides. The data in the slides, it shows that the worst region is not the South region. The worst region is actually here, the West region. This is 4.97%, this is 18, this is 15. So in fact, I'm gonna probably have to do the West region. Do you wanna guys do the West region with me? You can do the South region as in the slides, but here in the video, I'm gonna just do the East region because it's the region where I have problems. Yeah, you see, here's the West. Sorry, it's even the West. I'm sorry, it's the West region. So I'm going to edit filter and I'm going to add the West region here. This is where I have some troubles. All right, so now I need to add a filter. So I'm getting, not a filter, I need to add a color. I need to put the KPI ratio here, the KPI ratio into the color so that I will have those under in orange and those on top. And how about we add a border? It makes it look very professional. So I'm gonna add here a border, a black one. It looks more professional, isn't it? And then how about we add the ratio here as a reference line? So I'm gonna add this ratio as a reference line either from analytics, and I'm gonna add a reference line here. Or I could just Control Z, I could just add a reference line here, and from the reference line I'm gonna have first of all it should be per cell, right? Why is it order date? It's not even a parameter. Wait a minute, something has happened here. Okay, so let's hope that now is all right. Okay, so I'm gonna add here a reference line here on the profit ratio because I want the reference line to be aligned. Sorry, I added it here by mistake. Here's the reference line because I'm gonna want a reference line here to show me what is the acceptable threshold of profits. So my reference line is not vertical, my reference line is horizontal. So my reference line will be intersecting with the profit ratio. So from here, I'm gonna add a reference line. And from here, I have the profit ratio KPI target, yeah? And I want the value, yeah? And then I want the line to be maybe in what color? Let's take this extravagant blue color. And then I want it to be dashed. Here we go, dashed, yeah? How about that, guys? Where is it? It's blue, it doesn't show very well, but it's here, right there. Maybe I should edit the reference line and make it a bit of a heavier here. So now it's a heavier line. So here we can see how many of them actually hit the threshold. So some of them are barely on the threshold, yeah. And some of them here are not acceptable because they are below the threshold, yeah. Okay. All right. So how about we in fact add this, show it. Let's show it because we would like, show the parameter because we would like the management to be able to change the value. For example, let's change it to 10% to here to 0.1. So now it is 0.1. So you will see how many of them or 0. For example 2 is more interesting. So 0.2 we can see that more are below the threshold, so it automatically changed it's interacting with the view and automatically update the data. All right, so now we have the parameter showing here. We have this nice view. It's probably time to create the create a dashboard. Yeah, shall we? Yes, let's create a dashboard. So let's create a dashboard that looks like this. So I'm going to add a dashboard here, and in this dashboard we're going to add the Western region. Why did I create this one? Why did I create this region for? Let's take it. Does it have the region also in it? So I can focus on the region. Let me just check one last thing. I just wanted to check. It doesn't have the region, right? So wait a minute. It doesn't have the region. So if I can just go ahead and drop the region. I can now select all the West region just because I added it to the tooltip. Okay, so now let's create the dashboard. We are ready to create the dashboard. So I'm going to create this dashboard like this, and then like this. And now I'm going to just focus on the West region. Why? Because as I showed you earlier, we seem to have problems with the West region because it's different than the data of the tutorial on my slides. This year's data is a bit different, slightly different. All right, and then what do we want to call this? Let's call this, let's call it profit ratio KPI by state. It's the same. Profit ratio KPI over time. And over time per state. So now I'll be able to probably let's add here. We have it on the tooltip, the profit ratio, but we could actually add the profit ratio if you guys want. We can add the profit ratio in a label, and then we can also add the state if you guys want. Why not? And let's put the state on top of the profit ratio so that here. What happened? Wait until you see that little triangle. You see that little triangle caret here? So now I have here the label. Let's have it a little bit bolded. Okay. And then here we go. All right, so now we will have it here automatically done. So we will see that we have some states have not been doing great, some has been doing great. So this is the profit ratio, and this state is Nevada 22. This Washington state is 5%, the profit ratio, it's below. California is below, and Montana is also below the 15% mark. All right, so this is a dashboard. Let's create now a story. I think we are ready now to create our story, aren't we? Yeah, let's create a story, guys. So how do we create a story with a Tableau? We go here into a story, a new story. That is the interface. Let's take a look at the interface. So here's the story. We can call the story, for example, you give it a title. So this is a new story. Let's say the West region profits performance. Let's call it this way. We have it here. As you can see here on top, we call it the story point. So in the story point, I could add a caption. And then I could add other story points from here. New story points. I can add another blank story point. I could also duplicate the story point. For now, let's select the first story point, and we would like to add a caption to that story point. So with this story point, the caption that I would like to add is a caption saying that the West region has not performed well the last 6 months. Oh, and I'm going to add this. Okay. Before I write the caption, I would like to add the dashboard. Here, this is the first dashboard. You can see the dashboard is different than the view. The view is like bar chart, and this is like a matrix. Here, I have the profit by region. With this, for example, I won't be able to do anything with this story. First of all, this story is the default. Let's keep it on the default. Or you could just put it as desktop browser. So whatever you feel like it. So you can put it as default or desktop browser. If you want to export it into a PowerPoint, you probably just put it into the default. Oh, which one was the default? The story. Okay. All right, so now with the dashboard over here, let's explore something very quickly. With this dashboard, this dashboard is desktop and this is a story. The story is 1016 by 964. Yeah, 1016 by 964. So probably I'm gonna go here and set it up to A4 landscape for now. And now let's see, does it make any difference here? Almost same, yeah? Almost same. Not big of a difference. I'm just gonna return it back to normal. So don't worry if it's not showing really well here, because in any case, when you putting the presentation view, no, this presentation view is also not good. How did I fix that? With the sizing, I think with the sizing probably had to put, I maybe manipulated a little bit the generic desktop and then I put it like that. Yeah, now it's okay with generic desktop because this is where I'm gonna do the presentation. But where's the regional scorecard? Yeah, it's the same here. It's not showing everything. So I could probably manipulate this a little, make it a bit smaller and make this a little bit smaller. And this instead, I would put it just to standard. And then with the standard, yeah, it's gonna be way much smaller. So let's see how this, yeah. And then with the presentation view, it's gonna show everything. But nonetheless, I would like to get this resized. This is, how do we resize this? This is landscape. Let's put it desktop. Desktop browser. Yeah, now it is all like perfectly done, I think, hopefully. Yeah. All right. So now we have the sizing done. It's to our liking. I would like to make sure that this is also a floating object that is floated neatly. And it reflects automatically here. So now it's all right. So now I can see that I have all the regions. I'm gonna focus on the West region because it's the one that least performing region is the West region. So with this, probably I would like to keep this as is. So this is the West region. And we added the overall here for each month, but with the West region, is the Central region XXX. This is not showing much details, right? This is not showing us much details. It's just showing us that for the West region, I didn't meet my KPI in January, in February, but then I met my KPI, but in June again, I am not meeting my KPI. In June, almost everyone is meeting their KPI except me. Here, half-half. Here, I'm fine. Here, I'm the only one in the West region in March. And over here, I couldn't, half-half. And then over here, everyone couldn't meet their KPI. So this is normal. This is abnormal, too much abnormal. This is halfway, and this is halfway. And this is I am a superstar, and this is here I am just part of the many superstars, and the Central region is not doing very well. But in any case, this region is the least performing region, as you can see from the rest of the comparison of the percentages. Okay, let's go next. Now we need to write a caption. So in the caption, I'm just going to type that the West region has not performed well in the past 6 months. So let me add this. West region has not been performing that well in the past 6 months. So now here I have this story point right there. this is the first caption for the first story line. Now the second story point would be basically this view. With this view, I'm gonna highlight the west region instead of the south region. So this is the dashboard. I'm gonna just drag this dashboard and put it in here. And this is the west region, as you can see. And there's the KPIs. And with the south region, I'm gonna focus on some states that did not meet their KPIs. Or over here, where am I? I created this dashboard, and now I'm gonna add a story. And when the story I added, add the regional scorecard dashboard. We did that, and we added this. Now click the new blank point. We did that, and then add profit ratio analysis dashboard. Okay, profit ratio. This one. I have the orientation different. So if you want to change the orientation, like if you want to take this and add it like that, you could do that also. Up to you. I showed you in class how to get rid of the map layers. So if you want to get rid of some of the layers here, so you can have a cleaner look. And now back to the story, you will have a very clean look over here. So you drag it, make sure that the west only is selected. So you will have it here showing the west only selected. Perfect. So now the idea is we want to highlight these states, Montana, Washington, and California, that were not performing very well. But we also want to highlight that there are many states that are actually doing very well. So we have many states, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have eight out of 3 states been doing really well. So we're going to write a caption. We're going to say something like 8 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 out of 11 states in total were meeting their profit profit KPI of 15%. Yeah, so we have all these states. We're all meeting. All these west, yeah. These states were all meeting their KPI of 15%. And this is over time, right? This is the quarterly over time. Only in certain months, in 2016, for example, they were not able to meet their KPIs. Over here, actually, it's not responding to one another. Like this is not talking to this. So how do we do that? How do we let this talk to this? So we're going to add this action filter. So when we add this action filter, what's going to happen is, you see, now it's talking to each other. You see that? So I'm going to add this action filter. You probably forgot to add it, or probably it's not part of the PowerPoint presentation, but this is common sense right now at this stage. So over here we can see different states. Here this is Nevada, and here is Oregon. Okay, so most of these states, most of them has been meeting their profits. Okay, so we're talking about this portion of the states in the west region that have been meeting their profit KPI of 15%. Now, we would like to duplicate this to highlight the other part of the story, which is these states that we're not meeting. Yeah, so we're gonna highlight this caption, this story point, and hit duplicate. Yeah, and over here with the duplicate, we're gonna just highlight these instead, states, and now talk about these states. So we're going to talk about these states that been not doing well. So we're gonna, for example, here talk about how many states will meet a certain goal. Like these states, if we lower the profit ratio of 0.05, for example, they will still collectively not be able to meet. Oh, they all gonna meet the profit, yeah? Okay. Well, 0.15 they don't meet. But if we are looking at if we are looking at 0.10, which is 10%, they're still not meeting the deadline. Okay, 0.05, they will meet the deadline, the threshold, sorry. Let's see, 8%. Okay, so one state will meet that wasn't meeting that before, Washington. This is the profit ratio, the 5%. Okay, so I can see with 0.08, two states will meet the So these two states, if we drop the KPI to 0.08, both of them will meet the KPI. Obviously, if we drop the KPI to 5%, then all of them will meet the KPI. So we either drop the KPI so that they can perform better, this is manipulation of the system. We could also say that we can also investigate other options here, like just highlighting that the other three states are not doing well. You can also do that, highlight all the other colored states and say they are not doing very well. Now, certain states have been has been performing well historically. Let's check this state over here. So let me just keep Montana and California here highlighted and then duplicate, and over here let me just say that Washington state has been performing well. Let's highlight it because that's true. Over here it's been performing very well, and it just performed bad in only 3 quarters. It only performed bad in 3/4. That's it. So this is a whole story now for us that we created different than the story on the slides, but you can in fact read the story also and see how it makes sense. But depending on what story you're telling, you're gonna have to. So over here in the presentation, you can show the profit by region and show that the worst performing region is the West region over here. Then you go ahead and say there are 80 states in this region is in fact doing very well and reaching their KPI of 15% of profit ratio KPI. They're meeting the KPI. Then we have these 3 states are not meeting their KPI. However, these 2 states could meet the KPI of 8%. So if we lower the KPI is 8%, they could meet the KPI of 8%. Which is not really a very attractive story to tell, in fact, because if the KPI is 15, maybe 5% less is okay, but more than that is you're stretching it, you know. So you could probably over here, you can just say that these 3 states are not meeting their KPI and keep it as is and say that they could, with a little push, they could meet the KPI of 10%, yeah, these 2 states. But the least performing state is the Washington state. And here we need to highlight Washington, in fact. The least performing state here is Washington state, and it only performed bad in 3/4. Look at this storyline. Look how many quarters these 2 together have been performing bad. Look at this, how many quarters it has been performing bad. So many quarters. It's quite funny. While this Washington state has been performing bad for only 3/4, but still wasn't good enough to make its profit over sales ratio acceptable. So this is the kind of stories you need to tell, like why is this so, and this is quite an attractive point to show that this state is not meeting the KPI threshold, but it was only performing not well in only 3/4. However, in these states, these states, Montana, for example, look how many quarters, or rather California, look how many quarters it's been performing badly. And that would be it, yeah, for today. I showed you last time how to export. So if you want to export it into PowerPoint, you can do that by exporting this story only into a PowerPoint, and you can just save it on the desktop somewhere and export it into wherever you saved it. And now you can just open up the story and have a slide here. So you can show the story, as you can see here. You see there's something trimmed. So this is why I would like to go back and show you the importance of, in fact, getting the sizing done correctly. So with the sizing, I'm gonna this will not make any difference. With the custom, and now let me export it again into PowerPoint and see. Let's see, desktop, stories, save, yes, and export. Yep. Let's check. So now it's supposed to be, oh, I thought, you see what's happening, that it's actually trimmed. You can't get the whole thing. This is very bad. So what am I supposed to do here? I'm gonna just take this. In the dashboard, this is what I need to fix, in fact, the dashboard. and just put it like that, and then see what happens here. Would it make any difference? Not save as. Exporting. Okay, let's see. Still the same problem, right? It's still the same problem. Okay. So this is how am I going to fix it? Costume. Why don't we put it PowerPoint and end of story? Since we want to eventually do the PowerPoint, yeah? So here is the PowerPoint right there. So why don't I just do the PowerPoint, and now let's check. Imagine if we actually export it into PowerPoint, it still doesn't work well. This is the third time we're doing this. Export. And now let's see. Ta-da! It's not working. This is why it's not working. All right, let's do it the old school way, very difficult way, which is going over here and just manipulate the size. Over here. Do you see how it shrank? Same applies here for instead of PowerPoint or whatever you want it to be. Was it generic there? I like custom size. So you need to manipulate the sizing in the dashboard, right? And this is hopefully the last time we're doing this. Yeah, it seems to be working well, but it's quite small. So you could just be patient, and instead of making it super small like this, you could make it a little bit bigger, you see? But now you can tell the story with the PowerPoint. So over here, you can show that your West region, you can make this a little bit bigger. You have enough space, yeah? But right now, because I'm recording a video, I don't have that much time. But you can stretch it and make it nicer. I made it really small because I want it to work out, but you have enough space. You show that the region that is performing really the least. You can tell here that you can't even see the tooltip. So please, by all means, be patient with it. And then you can show that you can actually even annotate. We haven't done annotation. So let me just, over here, let me just go a little bit bigger. Just go a little bigger. It won't hurt much. Yeah, here we go. Get rid of that if you don't want it. So you have enough space. Now, let's go back again to here. What I wanted to do is to do annotation with you. I forgot to do that. So I'm gonna just over here right-click and annotate. And I'm gonna annotate a mark. So this will show the state, one state only. So I'm gonna get rid of that. And this will show the region. I don't need that. And this will show the profit ratio, but aggregate profit ratio of that state. This is the problem, you see? It will show so many profit ratios. So annotate usually is a very good idea when you have to annotate, for example, here, 2 states. So this easily I can annotate it with a mark. And no need for the state, and no need for the region. It's very obvious. Sorry. No need for all this space also. So with this, I can just move it like that. And here is California. And then I can also annotate Montana and I will annotate mark. And now I can get rid of these and no spaces, and then OK. Okay. Because I was still here. And then have this whole map moved away like that in the center, centralized. And now this and over here. Let's try to move it. Be patient with it. So this is annotation. So now we're talking about 2 states that has a profit ratio of 8% or also acceptable, and this is acceptable now after it was not acceptable. With this story, maybe the annotation might not be that amazing, might not be that great, but in any case, this is not fully showing. No. Now I can see it. So now I can see everything, yeah? So over here, it's all right. You can annotate this, for example, and say that you can add to the annotation. How do you add to the annotation here? You can add to the tooltip. So you can go here and add to the tooltip. Add to the tooltip the acceptable or not acceptable. And once you do that, I think, where is the annotation here? Oh, it doesn't show? Doesn't make sense really with the annotation here. Because we already have it as a label. If we don't have it as a label, then we can annotate it. So over here, in this view, I added to the tooltip. So now to the tooltip, it says KPI poor. Yeah. So if I go over here and I do that, it's gonna say annotate mark. Now it's gonna add. Yeah, it's gonna add. Yeah, it should show. It should show it, and now you can see it is showing it. Yeah. So over here, I am saying that the West region profit ratio, KPI profit ratio is poor. How about here? It's acceptable. How about here is poor? How about here is acceptable? So probably we can tickle both regions, the West region, because the profit ratio is poor, and also the South region, because seems like also it is poor because it's not meeting the 15% mark. Of course, this is 2 and this is 4.9. If you want to focus on the least performing region, then you can focus on the West region. But for now, today, technically you should be focusing on both regions, the West region and the South region, because they're both having the poor performance. So let me annotate this. So I'm going to just annotate this with the mark and OK. And over here, I can highlight the fact that this and this are performing poorly. And of course, you would need to, let me just get this out of the way. Okay, so you could easily show that these two regions are not performing well, and over here you just type in the West and South region had not performed well, did not perform well in the past 6 months. Now I worked with you on the West region, and I added here some annotation for you on how to do it. Now with the South region, I would like you to continue the storylines and the story points. In fact, I should have probably continued the story points with the South region as in the slides and made you do the West region on your own, but I want to make your life easy, so I made the West region with you, which is not available on the slides. But now your task is to add 3 more story points. The 3 more story points you're going to add is a story point that's showing again which states are doing well, which states are not doing well, and make annotation if annotations are important, and then show us if you manipulate a little bit the parameter here, which is the threshold for the KPI, if it's gonna be any better. So over here, I think I would like to see the West region. So you need to create this, but instead of the South region, but instead of the West region, you can just here add blank, and over here create another dashboard. First of all, you need to create another dashboard like this one, so you can duplicate this dashboard. I shouldn't be doing this for you really. So this dashboard, instead of highlighting the West region, would like you to go and highlight the South region. So over here you could highlight the South region, yeah, and with this, with the region, I would like you to show the filter. In this case, you can show the region, and you put the South region here. Yeah, so you can show the South region here, and you can start talking about the South region. So this is KPI profit by time. Let's say KPI over time South, and that was, and this is it. So now we have KPI for South, right? We're going to add this here, and now you can start talking about the South region. Basically, you can start with this over here, talking about the second least performing region is the South region, and then start talking about this state, Virginia. You can see that there's no space here in the map to add the label, even though we added the labels elsewhere in the South region, right? So in this case, annotation is the best way. So you can annotate this, and you say only one state has met the performance, blah, 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 and so on. So this is what I want you to do now. I want you to create and duplicate the dashboard, focus on the South region, and after focusing on the South region, I would like you to focus on the states that were performing well, 21%, and these that could meet the performance if we lower that profit ratio to maybe like 10%. How many states will actually meet, or 8%? Let me check here with you right now before I leave. How many states will actually meet the 8%? Oh, we will have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 more states will meet the 8% mark. That is quite interesting, guys. This is a real life example for you to see how you can deal or how you can tell a story. Also, it was interesting to see nothing is like straightforward. If you want to have it like PowerPoint size, that doesn't necessarily guarantee that all the view will be showing. Some of the parts of the view will be cut off, so this is why you need to be doing a custom sizing. And this is it for now. Would like you to submit your story, adding to it the South region, the West region, both regions that are not performing well, and submit only the packaged Tableau file. No need for you to submit the PowerPoint file. And I would like to see what you're gonna write as a caption. So this will be your very unique way of telling the story. So here I'm gonna, for example, resize. If you want to write so much and you would like to resize, it automatically resizes all of them. Now I have a problem here, because here, as you can see, I need to always show the filters. Let's show the filter of a region, and then accordingly, show the filter for the region, yeah, and then accordingly here, here you can show whatever region you would like. So you can show the West. So now you are showing the West region. Or in fact, you could probably, there's a filter added, so it's added, but yeah, it's a good idea to keep the region filter, and it's a must to keep the parameter profit ratio KPI, so that you can manipulate that and see how many more states will meet the KPI if you lower it. Thank you so much, guys, and please submit the assignment on time. I hope you enjoyed this exercise. I'll see you in class on Tuesday.